Welcome to the Automotive Diagnostic Podcast. We're going to explore ways to sharpen our diagnostic skills, find learning resources, and hear from experts in the automotive field. This episode is brought to you by L1 Automotive Training and Keith Perkins. If you're looking for education on module programming, J2534, EEPROM work, key and immobilizer, electrical diagnostics, or drivability diagnostics, Keith has a website, l1training.com, that's got over 60 hours of training videos on all those subjects and more. When I first started out doing mobile, I utilized Keith's videos on module programming in J2534 in order to get my head wrapped around what I would need for the tooling, the computers, the software setups, what kind of obstacles I would be up against when I'm out there programming modules on cars. And it was a huge benefit to me. And I continue to use the training videos that he has on his website. So I strongly recommend checking out l1training.com. The link is in the show notes. Hey, what's going on, automotive world? Welcome to another episode of the Automotive Diagnostic Podcast. My name is Sean Tipping. I'll be your host once again for this week's episode. Thank you so much for joining me on the show this week. Tomi and I are joined by Cody Gaddie, who's down in Tucson, Arizona. He's got his own mobile business down there. He's been on the show a couple times before, but if you're not familiar with Cody, he's a fantastic guy. Everybody you talk to has awesome things to say about Cody. I don't think that's an exaggeration at all. He recently hosted an event in his hometown. Him and his wife put this on, and it was outstanding. I was lucky enough to attend the event, and that's what we're going to be talking about today on the show. It's a little bit about this, how it came up, what it was, and what we hope the future looks like as far as maybe inspiring some other things and just industry events as a whole. We'll touch on a few other topics as well, but great conversation and great to have Cody on the show. I know you're going to like this one, so let's jump in. Training, and I'm going to seek that out more for sure.
Yeah.
Why not? If they're willing to do it, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, for sure, man. I definitely need to get a better
gentlemen.
projector.
Yeah, right. It's like buying up all these things that I had no prior knowledge about. Like, what are the specs for a freaking projector and a screen and a camera and a microphone? I don't know what's good or what's bad.
Well, that's where I got mine. I wouldn't recommend it.
Man, I'd be seeing these people who are building walls with like LED tablets, like LED, like little LED tablets, and then they all mix together.
Yeah,
And
it's crazy, man.
You have to program those shits are wild, son. I seen one that was like the size of like pretty much the wall, bro. It looked like Vegas in there at night. Like turn the lights off. Imagine getting flashbanged in Call of Duty, bro. you're gonna go blind.
It's like what they're doing.
So they
with
put
the
the tablets
too,
up on the wall, or what?
Yeah, so it's like think about like LED no, I'm sorry, they're panels, right? But they're just LED panels, and they're connected in like series,
Sure.
No, I think it's it's like in series. I believe, I don't know, but like you connect 4 of them to like a module, and then you connect the other 4 modules, so that would be parallel, right? Like they're all connected in parallel, and then you can they're connected to some program on your computer. And you tell it like what position you want it or whatever, and that's how you program the screen. So in case you want to see like multiple screens, or the same screen just projected over the entire wall, it's fucking sick, man.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people up here around Christmas time. Like, obviously, people get into it, and they have these crazy setups with all of these LEDs, and they can play stuff on them, and it's all centrally controlled because you can drive up, tune into a radio station, and they play it, and like the whole freaking yard goes crazy. Like the amount of money that goes into some of these setups is nuts.
Oh, it's dumb. So actually like the cul-de-sac right down the street, it's called the, like the Christmas street or whatever, and it's actually they got the whole street doing it now, man, where it's all on the same
Oh,
channel,
no
all the
kidding.
same music. It was one mechanical
Oh,
engineer
wow.
that started the house and stuff, and now they run the lines and everything, and now they got the whole that whole block or whatever doing it. It's crazy, man. It's super cool, man, because each song
Yeah.
has its own rhythm and its own. It's
Yep.
just wow.
There was one you could drive up to and you could pick the song. Like you went to an
Oh
app
wow.
or something and then you picked the one that it played. It was pretty sweet.
Damn, they wouldn't want me to go there. So what's up, guys? How was this private retreat?
It's a
It was
secret we
good,
can't
man.
tell.
We can't tell. So
You guys
and
sacrificed
yeah.
a goat or something?
Well, it all came about actually, Sean actually mentioned it and stuff as far as, a lot of the best conversations or the best like amount of knowledge and some, going to these training events and stuff is a lot of times like the hallway conversations, the networking and stuff, right? And we were just kind of talking and stuff as far as like possibly putting some together with just a small group of guys. And just kind of have it as a network, with other mobile guys, talking business, talking, strategies, uh, um, processes, stuff like that. If everybody like came with like a with something to share, right? That we can make it, it would be kind of cool. Talked about maybe having it at a resort and stuff. So, we threw out a bunch of these ideas and stuff, and it was kind of one of those. I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna run with this, and because I know a good resort and stuff. Let's have it out here in Tucson, because just make it easier trying to get everything set up and get a conference room and you know um, have everybody come out here, and it's got an awesome pool, certain time of the year and everything, and it ended up, man, it was awesome, man. I mean, it was cool. We wanted to keep it small, right? And because we didn't know what this was going to be or anything else, we wanted to be a small event where everybody kind of everybody trusted each other, like to the point that like we wanted full transparency and everybody to lay everything out on the table and stuff. So to the point that it's like we signed NDAs and everything to even be a part of this event and everything, to where everybody that came, there was no fear of information getting put out there on free platforms or anything like that, or getting shared, and to where guys we can just be completely transparent and open and everything. And man, the event just really um I thought it was awesome. I felt that it went real smooth. I mean, obviously there's things that we would change if doing it again, um but I mean, what's your take on it, Sean?
Yeah, it was a grand slam. Like you said, we had just kind of envisioned it as like, hey, we talk every day in this chat, but why don't we get some sort of meetup going, right? And obviously, you got the big events where maybe there'll be a few of us at each one, but okay, let's create something for ourselves. Like we have enough knowledge here, we have enough capacity, let's do something and see how it goes. And like you said, just sharing information. And yeah, like you also mentioned, like the inner workings of our business. Like I don't necessarily want that just ended up on YouTube somewhere, and so having people that you trust is definitely important. But the the time to get together and the that we built in the resort and the ability to bring significant others, wives, kids to it, and have some time to hang out in the pool and do whatever around Tucson, which is beautiful, by the way. That made it twice as good because it didn't even really feel like a work trip, right? Like we've all done plenty of those. We've gone to, wherever it's for work. Yeah, we're kind of away from work, but we're still doing work. And yeah, it was at this a little bit, but it didn't feel that way. It felt like a vacation. Got to hang out with all my friends and then, bring my girlfriend and meet all the other um wives and kids and stuff. And yeah, it was fantastic. It was way better than I would have imagined it would be. So I got to give credit to you, Cody, and your wife, Sabrina. You guys put together an awesome event for the first time, like with no like outline structure ahead of time. You guys just threw this together, and it was awesome. There's like an itinerary, and we had everything planned out. Like it all went really smooth, considering what we were doing. So, and yeah, you make little tweaks and improvements and it'll be that much better, but hats off to you. It went really well.
Well, I appreciate that, man. So thank you. I mean, so my wife, I mean, I'll kind of touch on that for a little bit. I told her all about it and stuff when we first talked about it, and I was like, what? So I got the conference room and starting to put things together. Because originally, man, I thought it was just going to be like 5 or 6 of us and stuff. She's like, pretty much, she was like, you without saying it, she was like, you got this, right? I was like, all right, cool, I got this. And then as it was getting closer and stuff, like, man, a couple weeks before the event and stuff, I was like, yeah, so there's with the wife and kids and everything, because there's only about 15 of like the actual guys like presenting and actually going to be in the conference room and a part of the quote unquote event. It was more of a meetup. So, and I'm going to touch on that here in a little bit and stuff. Meetup event, whatever you want to call it and stuff. But it was as it got closer, I was like, look, we got about 31 people and stuff. And she's like, oh my God. And she started freaking out a little bit or whatever. And I was like, well, I got this, I got the itinerary and I got this and I got this. And I was like, I need you to get lunch and stuff. She's like, holy crap, man, you put it all together. I was like, yeah, I did, man. But it worked out smooth, and it was one of those that a couple things that I would learn from this. So there was about, like I said, 15 of us. Um, it would need to be doing this in the future, like a 2-day event. Hold on, let me back
Yep.
up real quick before getting into this and stuff. Like, I don't want to sit here and sound that this was just such a hush hush event and invite only and everything else. Like, what I want people to understand about why I'm even on this podcast and why we're even talking about it or anything else, because I shared a post on social media and stuff about the event because I was proud. I was proud of everybody that showed up. I was proud of my wife and I for putting it on, and it's like we kind of created something. And man, just the knowledge I got from it, I was just like blown away. I got more out of it than I ever expected that I was going to. Right. More so than I have at a lot of these other like larger training events for the last couple of years and stuff. So that just shook me. That hit me hard, man. That it's like, I guess I want this to be more of an inspiration for others. That it's like, man, if I can do this, if I can put some together, like just with a network of guys and everything else, man, this shouldn't be an issue for like others to maybe get the same inspiration and creating their own kind of thing, right? Um,
Yep.
and where it doesn't have to be just the big events that we all know about, and these small events and stuff, and just like Tommy was talking about earlier, doing something local and everything. It's like, man, kind of take it down a notch where it's not this is nothing about money, a money grab. This is nothing about like anything except just literally guys getting together and just laying everything out on the table, man. So yeah, I wanted to be clear on that, and it's something that this event we're talking about doing it and stuff again. It's one of those. I think it would work best with just a select few people. That the bigger it gets, the more it just creates more moving parts, and it's harder to operate. Um, I liked that it was. I'll tell you what, like sitting down to the dinner and seeing, all the kids and then the wives interacting and everything else. And I try to bring my wife to all the events and stuff, but it's usually her talking to all the guys. You know what I mean? So to see everybody like bring their significant and others and hanging out in the pool, like you're saying, and having some drinks and stuff, man, it just hit different. Um, it was it was pretty rad, man. I mean, it was cool. I really enjoyed that part
Yeah.
of it. Um, just getting together, and but then the knowledge too, I was just floored. I really was. Um so to back up to where I was going with that, as far as like a couple things we do different is uh we had about 15 guys, and this goes for guys that if you're thinking about doing this or whatever, if everybody's bringing a presentation or whatever, maybe put like a time cap on certain presentations or whatever. if it's 15 people, man, we needed 2 days to get through all the information.
No doubt.
For sure. One day just strictly for the presentations, and we wanted the other day to be like hands-on stuff. And there's already stuff in the works for next year as far as even more hands-on as far as actual touching cars and stuff. So I'm excited about putting this together as far as next year, and just, man, I wanted to see where it can go, man, because I was super pumped after
Yes.
after leaving that. You know what I mean? Just the camaraderie and just the openness from everybody. I couldn't believe it, man. I really couldn't.
That's one big thing for me too that I'm still feeling is the motivation that I had after interacting with everybody, and so we're all friends. For one of the reasons is because we all do the same thing, right?
Yep.
We're all running our own business, doing the mobile thing, right? And so we're all motivated, but man, when you get in a room with all of those people that are just fired up, doing cool stuff with their businesses, or in the shop that they're in, like it is inspiring. And I've come back and I'm just like supercharged, ready to go. Like I want to do all these things, all the things that are shared, but just like seeing people do really well and do cool things and be fired up makes you want to do the same. And like that alone right there, even without all the really good information that was shared, just being around people like that is so worth it. It's worth going down there. So that part of it is really cool.
It was, man. I mean, because at the end of the day, we're all business owners and stuff. So we all,
Yep.
and everybody's business is at a different level. You know what I mean? There's a couple guys that had over, that have multiple vans on the road to like, single owner operators and stuff like. But the fact that everybody, the feedback was amazing, and I thought it was just me taking it all in, and to hear everybody else as far as how much knowledge and stuff they gained from it and stuff too. I was like, damn, man. I mean, it was really, like you said, I'm still riding that high, man. I'm still
Yep,
riding it
yep.
pretty hard.
Yeah. Well, and it was bonus for me too because I have family in Phoenix that I hadn't seen some of them in a decade, and so we spent some time there and spent a little time hiking, and it was just an all around excellent trip. And I think we got the best weather possible for this time of year
Oh,
in
dude,
Arizona.
I'm
It was
telling you,
like 80
yeah.
degrees.
Yeah, literally that Sunday it was snowing on Mount Lemon, right? So I mean, 45 minutes from where we're
Yeah.
at, it's literally snowing on Mount Lemon, but we're in the pool the day before. You know what I mean? And
Uh-huh.
then it was raining for the next couple days, and then this last weekend, I mean, we just picked a perfect weekend. So
Yeah.
I mean, it was just it was perfect, man, to be able to sit by the pool and enjoy the resort, and then to see everybody as far as doing tourist stuff. That that's one thing I try to do, going to these events. I'll come in either a couple days early or stay a couple days late, and since I'm already going out there, it's like sightsee some stuff, you know what I mean, or check out some museums
Hmm.
or what have you and everything. So to see you guys doing all that, and from the hiking to checking out the scenery and everything else, it's like it's pretty cool, man. That's why I was excited for you guys to come to Tucson and everything, and get out of some other areas where there's some shit weather or whatever too. So
Yeah.
um
Yeah. Right. I think the day we came back, it was hotter here than down there, but that's obviously not the usual. Um,
no, right?
yeah,
The-
to touch
that,
on something you were talking about earlier. Oh, sorry, Tommy, do you want to
no, that oven isn't my idea of great weather either. But
go?
just real quick, for whatever happens if I lose power or something, we're under a tornado watch right now. Oh, warning
Oh,
actually.
yeah, that shit
Yeah,
moved through here earlier today. So
yeah. It got dark real quick. So
okay,
Damn.
just letting you know if it cuts out, I'll do what I can to get back on.
Cool,
okay,
man.
hot spot out the sunroof.
I'm not
Yeah.
going out there, man. I left it in the car. I left it in the car.
We were trying to, or Tommy's trying to upload his file from when we interviewed
I was
Thornton,
listening to
and
that
he's
podcast,
doing it
man.
off his hotspot.
That's
Yeah,
hilarious.
Man,
but
so things you
all
do.
right, so something you touched on earlier too was like, okay, so this is a small event, and yeah, not everybody got invited. This was just that wasn't the intention of like let's keep people out. It was, hey, we're a group of friends, let's go hang out, and then
Yeah.
we can do some business stuff in addition to that. And yeah, it's a small event, and I think that's part of what made it really cool and different from the normal stuff that we go to. Not that it's 100% better, but it's different and it's got its own special feel to it. And the part of that that sucks is, yeah, okay, we have lots of friends, we have big networks, and yeah, not everybody you got the invite to said event. But what you were saying, and I feel this too, is like hopefully this can inspire somebody else that's listening to this that has their own network of people within the industry, and you can do this too. Like you're saying, like you could set something up like this, and get some people together and share some information and some passion, and there's no reason it can't be something very very similar, and also like I said, very different than the big events that we go to. Like Tommy, you mentioned a while back, like more of like a grassroots type of situation. Like I think this is closer to that.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
agreed. Like, go
yeah, go
ahead.
ahead, Tommy.
No, go ahead, bro.
Nope, you've been quiet.
Well, it's not like I got much to say. It's not like I got invited.
You
Just
did
kidding.
get
No,
invited, so stop.
no, I did. It's just timing is terrible with me going to Australia right now, and um, oh crap.
Hail.
Um, dude, yeah, this is bad, man.
At
My
least you're
fence
already
looks
in
like,
the basement.
yeah, looks like my fence is about to take flight, man. Hold on, I'm gonna mute myself. I need to call my wife. Give me 1 second, guys.
All
Sorry.
right. No, you're good. Um, yeah, and so the way we did it is we had some presentations. So we had, projector and conference room, and people were giving talks. And what I was also impressed by was that some, but not all, like some people may have had some previous presentation experience. I think most of the people didn't, or at least not real formal, like giving a class, but everyone did an excellent job as
Yeah.
far as bringing their A game and presenting the material in a usable way. And I was pretty impressed by that. For a couple of the gentlemen who said, like, I've never presented before, I wouldn't believe that. I thought you did an awesome job. So if you got something cool to share, I think you could probably find a way to do it. And then you also feel maybe a little bit more comfortable just with a group of friends instead of, a crowd of 80 people and you don't know
And
half of them.
that's
Yeah.
the thing, right? Like, what's what's the best bang for your dollar, right? Like, let's just be realistic here, man. Does it really? What do you sometimes, especially if the event isn't as, I don't want to say good, right? Let's not say good. Let's just say it's not for you, right? The
Right.
event isn't for you or for your skill set, right? What do you really get out of going, right? Like
Exactly.
you end up talking to your network of guys, which is great, right? Like that's awesome. But like I said before, I can do that for free.
Yeah.
I talk to you dirtbags every day. Like, we talk on the phone, we're in Facebook chats, we're here, we're there. So like what what else now when you go back to your grassroots or even have somebody there, like you can have an instructor fly out and pay them and it'll be cheaper than sending a bunch of dudes. The loss of productivity, because unless you're a big shop that has a lot of other employees that may or may not want to go to programming, but dude, most of us are like single or multi, like couple of employees. Dude, that hurts, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To pay, or in your position, Sean, you send a guy to Vision, you had to pay his hotel, his wages. um you know what I'm saying? What if he got stuck there? Then you got to pay for another hotel room. You see what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Yep.
So it's just like, dude, like, and then you can't even make him like. What if he flies in on Monday? You got to pay him for Monday too. Another down day of productivity. So it's like, man, like I don't know. I just think things have to change. The times have to change, and unfortunately, man, like there has to be a monetary and also a morale value to going to, other than yeah, I got to talk stuff a bunch of guys, but what are you gonna do here? Oh, I don't know. I didn't really. nothing that I learned can apply to what we do here, but I learned something. So that's kind of where I've always been. No, like I think things need to change, and going back to your roots is, my opinion, the best the best way to go about it now, especially if you're a smaller business. Because I mean, how much did you guys really spend going to this event? Right, probably not a lot. I mean,
I
resort,
mean, for
you
for
could
the
take.
guys flying in and stuff, it was, it was flights and the hotel, and then some food and stuff, but that was, and whatever activities that they wanted to do outside of, the event and everything. So, but you're going to be spending that regardless if you go somewhere. And then there's
Yep.
a registration fee, and then so and then, like you said, it's like you go to these events and stuff, you're not bringing your significant others, because what are they going to do, right? So that
Yeah.
makes it, that throws a whole nother variable. And the biggest thing is like, yeah, so like Tommy, you're saying and stuff, man, like, so for Sean sending a couple of his guys, like, and I'm just gonna pick on Vision, it's nothing towards Vision or anything, but it's like they send them to classes and everything else, but it's like, um and they learn stuff, right? That they may apply in maybe 3 weeks, maybe a week, maybe 2 months. Like, you don't know. It may not be for a couple of years that what you learned you actually apply or get an ROI for that specific class or that specific training event. Um, and that's where it's kind of a gamble. You can read the class descriptions and everything else, but you're not going to truly know until you get there, and like Tommy said, it may not be for you or whatever. I will say, like, this last event, and I'm not just trying to sit here like, oh, this was just amazing. I mean, but for me personally, whether I hosted it or not, that has nothing to do with it. It's just the reality is the ROI already, and how my business practices and my processes and stuff have 100. It changed the next day after the event. I was already working in the business. You know what I mean? Like, I was already
Yep.
changing things immediately from what I learned.
Same here. Yep. Yep. I 100% agree. And it's kind of, I think about it this way, is like we're at a different point in our career paths where you're mentioning, Tommy, that like maybe you go to a vision or something like that and you're like, boy, I didn't get my money's worth out of the education piece of it because of the amount of effort that we've put into ourselves up until this point. And not everybody's like that. And so it's definitely something where an event like that, I'm not saying it's not right for people and that you can't learn from
No.
it. Like, you can get a ton of stuff. And there's been years that I've gone to something like ASTA or Vision or whatever and gotten just an enormous amount out of it, and vice versa. But you
Yep.
kind of almost have to shift your goals for training or what you're seeking out for training or education or improvement based on your position. And hey, if you're at a certain point, you've learned a certain amount, then you might need to seek out something different that's going to be a different level for you to get the same. uh, if it's your first time to Vision, that you've never gone before, like, the amount that you get out of that will probably never be the same, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's your second, third, fourth time, you're going to keep improving, and the amount that you take away from it is less and less each time. And so then, you eventually get to a point where it's like, okay, I need to find, if I want to get that same percentage increase or value out of an event or something, training, whatever it is, I gotta find something different. I don't know, I kind of feel like, this was that for us, because you could see it, on everybody's face, during the presentations and the talks and stuff, that like everybody's picking up on something, right? Everybody's bringing some really good knowledge. And the other thing too is, like, I don't think there was any like big egos there,
Yeah.
as far as like, I'm the smartest, I know everything. Like, we were all learning from each other the whole time through.
And I'm going to touch on that 100%, man. There was there was nobody there that felt that they knew anything. Like, I mean, every the response that I got after everybody left, like, man, they all everybody gained this pretty much, the same amount of knowledge, even the ones that may have shared more as far as business practices and procedures or whatever it may be, right? Um, it because everybody's at a different level. So it's like,
Mhm.
and the thing is, what's neat about networking and stuff though, too, man, it's like, it's kind of, it's like chasing the dragon or whatever. It's like you see your business taking off and you're hiring guys and and then you see other guys. It's like, oh, I started in 2022 and I got 12 vans on the road. It's like, Jesus, man. It's like
Yeah,
they
yeah.
started
Like, what
after
am I
me. It's like,
doing?
what the fuck am I doing wrong, man?
Yep, yep.
you know but on that same note, it's fun. It's fun that I have to take a step back at times um because I feel like I'm behind where I see everybody else, like we're talking about and stuff, just growing, right? And it's like, my wife pretty much humbles me, and it's like, I haven't found the right person. I haven't really, essentially wanted to, I wanted my first hire to be special and stuff. And then I will say, so after that event and everything, and with my wife talking to some other wives that work in the business and everything else, now she's overcome her fears and apprehensions of joining the business. And so now I've hired her part-time to do admin stuff and marketing and dropping off, donuts or whatever to the shops and my top contributors and stuff that I would never do, right? And that they at the end of the day, they'd much rather see, my wife walk through the door than see me walk through the door with some pens and a notepad or whatever. You know what I mean? But all that little stuff, man, that goes a long ways. And now from somebody that was so
This show is brought to you by Automotive Seminars. If you're looking to stay up on the cutting edge diagnostic strategies and techniques, this is the place. You've got live 4-hour seminars that are put online that you can join in, ask questions, interact with the instructors with some of the best of the best. They've got Keith Perkins and John Thornton putting on classes like network diagnostics, mechanical engine testing, advanced electrical testing, and GDI diagnostics, and a ton more. And once you purchase one of these training seminars, you can access this at any time that you want through your account at automotiveseminars.com. You can rewatch the training a year, 2 years later, which makes this training even more valuable. So I highly recommend you check this out. The link is in the show notes.
from somebody that was so apprehensive to because she just wants to do the absolute very best, that she was like, no, 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 no. I mean, I've been trying for months, or actually probably about a year. She's just like, no, no, no. And then finally, after that event, man, here she's like, because here's the thing: the girls down at the pool, they had their own little meeting, you know, that wasn't even planned or
Just
whatever. And it's
talking
like, next
shit
thing you know,
about us.
she-
How we don't shut the hell up about cars.
yeah, they're like, here's a fun fact: you're actually 51% owner of the business now.
Mhm.
um, but in that, so just from that alone, it's like, so my first hire, right? I have my wife and stuff, and she's not to the point of wanting to answer phones and everything yet, but she's gone on a ride along with me. She wants to get introduced to the shops. She wants to, help be the another face of Cody's Auto, and I'm stoked on that, man. So, um, just little things like that. It's just like, I wasn't expecting that. I was not expecting her to kind of full swing turn her thoughts around, because I just she when she gets set in her ways, and this is obviously scary because all the technology talk that I talk, and she thinks that she has to know it all, and I'm like, here's a fun fact: the shops don't even know what they need half the time when they're
Right,
calling.
right. Yeah. Well, that's cool, man. I'm glad for that. That's I guess, yeah, it talks to the people that were there, and like we mentioned, this sort of the motivation that you get from that to maybe shift somebody's perspective on what we do day to day. So yeah, it's a grind doing this stuff, especially if you're the business owner, and to find some ways that you can uh, refuel yourself like that, boy, when you find something, hold on to it. So, yeah, I'm already excited for next year.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for next year. Hopefully, Tommy will actually be there this time and not blow us off like he did this time. Um, but that being said, man, as far as let's talk about, like the elephant in the room, and as far as like gatekeeping and stuff, man, because some people could probably listen to this podcast and be like, man, you had guys sign NDAs and we're really not talking too much about, necessarily who was there or who presented what and everything, just rightfully so. And that's not for anything to leave people out and everything. It's to, protect our industry and to provide value and not kind of like what we mentioned earlier as far as you see it quite a bit as far as people learn. Here's the thing. So people learn things from somebody and then they go and like and I'm gonna use an example of something that happened to me here recently as far as like I would share information because I follow this one guy on TikTok and he has a pretty large following and stuff and he's getting into cloning and everything and he puts it all out there and the my thing about that is I I don't look at myself as a gatekeeper, but when it gets to security and module cloning and stuff like that, I will say that I have my apprehensions on the letting it be out there on free resources to where any DIYer can get a hold of that information. Um, Especially information that's not yours. So I would reach out to him and I would tell him, this video is wrong for whatever reasons. And all the information that I shared with him would end up in a video. Um, so that was pretty much a slap in the face, and then I get called that I'm a gatekeeper because I got to a point that I realized that I'm not sharing any more information because this is information that I've acquired or that I've worked hard for that I've learned or I've spent money on going to cloning training. I'm not just going to hand it out to you free of charge on TikTok or YouTube or anything like that, right? Or even in personal conversations because you don't have any skin in the game. I mean, what if there's so many people that I think they ride off everybody else's coattails, um, and it's one thing if you figured something out yourself or if you designed a software yourself or something like that, right? That's
Yeah,
that's
if
your
you put in the
information to
work.
share. Exactly. So and I want to hear Tommy's thoughts on that. I know he's having like tornado issues or whatever, but he'll
Yeah.
jump in here in a minute.
Well,
What are your thoughts on that, Sean?
the storm passed, but we're getting a little bit of water in the basement right now. So
Oh no.
I'll let you keep yapping. Give me like 5 minutes.
Put on the swim trunks.
Yeah,
Um,
buddy, skinny dipping.
yeah, that's the thing. If you put in the legwork to figure something out that wasn't either easily or out there at all, and you want to share it, go for it. Like that's your material, and you can put it on YouTube and give it away for free. And I mean, there might even be an argument for that. Like you discovered something really cool and you want to share it with the industry, give back. Okay, cool, go for it, right? But if it's not, if you didn't do that work and somebody else maybe showed you or you picked it up somewhere, it's not yours to just put out for the world to have because then everybody can do it and it lowers the value. And I think it was me, Tommy, and Pedro had a conversation, about this very thing a couple years back about like gatekeeping and information. And there's an argument to be made like if the thing that you do is only valuable because you can keep it a secret, how valuable is it? But then what I think that comes back to is like, well, who put in the work to figure that secret out? And I think that
Right.
really does belong to that person, right? And that's the whole idea behind like trademarks and patents and stuff like that. But for what we're doing, we don't have that sort of stuff, right? Especially if it's riding that fringe of like, um, you know, maybe it's not the way that the factory scan tool
Yeah.
or setup does it for that vehicle, but we're getting stuff done because they don't give us an option, and so um, we don't have the trademark capability of coming up with this stuff, so we have to rely on either keeping it to ourselves or keeping it within a network. So doing it something like this where it's trusted group with some signed documents, I think is a really good idea to do it that way.
Now, at least for me, man, I've always had a mixed bag with this conversation, right? I've never been called a gatekeeper to my face. Um, I've heard little things here and there, but the reality is for me, like, I don't, I think I've made it fairly clear that I don't mind helping anybody, right? But I did notice that there would be people who would ask me questions, and then I would see them as my competition in an online space, right? Because again, at the end of the day, like, there's plenty of work for everybody.
Yep.
But if we're in the same groups and then you're asking me to help you do this job that you potentially took from me, then it's kind of an issue. It's a conflict of interest, right? So
Yeah.
then it's so then you get back to the point where we're like, well, you know what, man, I just kind of don't want to help anybody anymore. And here's my perspective, right? Um, Take a look at what we would be considered gatekeeping, right? Um, but now let's talk about it on a bigger scale. Now let's talk about tools, right? So anybody familiar with a company called Speed?
Yep.
Anybody bought anything from them?
Nope.
Anybody at one point wanted to buy something from them?
I saw him at I saw him at Just Cars, and I actually, and they put on a class at one of the seminars and stuff that I took. Yeah, I was curious about it, but there was something to it, and I think you're going to touch on this.
Yeah, the price tag, it was $10,000 for Mercedes, $12,000 for BMW,
Oh yeah,
or
yeah.
around there. I could be, my numbers were off. Maybe like maybe it was 7, 8 grand for Mercedes. I know it was 12 for BMW, right? But these are like, I mean, these guys are pretty much the pioneers of, you know, all keys lost, MEBE keys, ISM, or like the transmission, TCM virginizing, ISM virginizing. These guys pretty much, them, Abrites or Breedies, whatever you want to call it, those two companies are pretty much the top of the top, right?
Yep.
Well, where's DiXP now?
Yeah, I haven't heard much
Checking
from
out
them.
their website right now.
They're pretty much, they're done.
Oh, I know
Nobody
where you're going with this
nobody's
because somebody's reverse engineered their equipment.
Yeah, so there's this major company who I'm not gonna name, who basically took all their stuff, put it on the
Yep.
tool, sold the tool for a fraction of the price that include more stuff, and it works
Yep.
very well. But here's the key difference, right? This company, because they didn't have to do the R&D time, because DiXpeed's biggest downfall is it's not very user friendly.
Uh,
So because they had to R&D the tool, right? Like they had to build the whole tool, so they don't really had the time or the resources to make it pretty and make it.
yep.
I'm just gonna say
User
idiot proof,
friendly.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So then so now what, right? But here's the issue, right? You can say, oh, it's not my problem, whatever. Fine, you can say that, but what happened? I remember there was a time where Mercedes keys were like $800-900.
Yep.
Now people are doing here for like $200.
Yep.
So again, there has to be value to some of this information, man. And when it gets out, and when the tools get out, and you know, one of my all-time favorite tools, I said it before, is IO Terminal. But guess what? It's
Yep.
not. It's done. I mean,
Yep.
they got
Yep.
most of the tools that you see now are derivatives from that tool, and they're done. Like the guy doesn't want to update the tool anymore, and then now what? Like now I paid a lot of money for this tool, and I'm never going to see any updates.
Exactly.
And
And I
now
still love that tool.
these next generation of tooling, there's no innovation because they're it's getting stolen. And not to get too much on my soapbox, but the reality is, it's just human nature to, when something is easily available, you don't put a monetary value on it. Do you know how many mobile guys that I've helped, and I've seen what they're charging, and I'm like, dude, you have no idea how difficult it was to figure that out. And if you're gonna do it and charge somebody, at least respect the price points, man.
Exactly.
Like, at least respect the work that went into it. But no, man, it's like it's a dog eat dog world. So then why should I help you? You see what I'm saying?
Oh
Like
yeah.
everybody's a gatekeeper until it affects you, and it doesn't
Until
affect
yeah,
you because you
exactly.
didn't put in the work.
Yep.
So say what you want
Yeah.
to
No.
say, man. But that's kind of my take. Like I'll stop and help anybody, man. But there has to be a check and balance of what information can get out there because at the end of the day, like if something's easy, there's no value to it. If
Can you
owning a
guys still
business,
hear me?
yeah, I hear you. We just can't see your dome no more.
Okay. Yeah, something happened with my camera, so I'll still hang out because I think if I leave the page, it's gonna fuck it up.
The
So,
Okay.
the battery went dead or something.
I think that's what happened.
No, and
What a
Tommy, you're
piece of
absolutely right,
shit.
man. I mean, you look at the top. Use like cloning tools, for example, and stuff. It's like they're a hefty price tag, man. And not one does it all. But then that it just takes one tool coming out that knocked you know reverse engineered the information, and now they're selling it for a tenth of the price. So then
Mhm.
that means that anybody can just get into it, and then they think, oh yeah, I'll clone this module and stuff, and I'm charging the shop $100, $150, $200, and it's like, man, that's the farthest thing from the truth because y- you don't understand. I mean that's that affects us all, man. And then not only that, but like then putting this information publicly as far as walking through the whole process as far as like you know um doing a cloning job or whatever, walking through the whole process. Do you think manufacturers are watching that information at all, Tommy?
Dude, I didn't really want to touch on this part, but that's the one part that pisses me off is there's a lot of people in circles, right, who are into like our uh who are into like a certain type of programming, right? And we're not supposed to have this stuff, man. We're not supposed to be able to do this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go and you post this on Facebook, like you posting your. Why don't you just go post your butthole, dude? Like there's.
On OnlyFans, you'll go farther.
Give me a second, guys.
Sure. Yeah, that stuff that rides the edge. That's kind of the stuff I was talking about. It's like you don't necessarily want that front and center public, but
And
for
that's
our side of things, it's like, hey, we want to get this done somehow. We need to figure this out. We got to get the car fixed.
so you
Yep.
usually, and again, it's a that's a whole separate topic and conversation, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. But my problem has been like it's my rule. If I see you showing this shit off on YouTube or on your Facebook reel or any of that, because here's the thing, right? And I'm gonna say something it's gonna ruffle a lot of feathers, and I don't give a fuck. There's only one reason why you should be posting some of this software and some of these programming tools on your social media account, and it's typically for clout. Sometimes it's a little bit
Yep.
of advertisement, but for the most part, it's clout. I do some of it. I when I do my little reels, you know what's funny, man? Like it works. Like it drums up business for me, right? But
Yeah, exactly.
I generally don't like showing off the tooling. And
Yep.
everybody knows what it is, but here's the key part of this, right? Some of the software that we shouldn't be fucking using, what is the purpose, right? What are you trying to show off? Think about like I want you to really really think about it, right? Especially if you are a and I know some of these guys will take in what would be considered like private work, but let's just put it out there. The shop that you're servicing and the customers that you're trying to attract, they don't know what the fuck that is.
Right.
So then why are
Yeah.
you posting it?
It's for
Why?
clout. That's
Yeah.
exactly
Because
what
it's for
that is.
fucking clout, man. That's
Yep.
all it
Yep.
is. And
Yep.
I'm gonna get some phone calls when this drops, and I don't give a fuck because
I mean
sometimes
that's 100% what it is, Tommy. And I mean in your situation, man, that does that'll bring you some business because that's you're the used module king, you know what I mean? But anybody else putting that information out there and stuff, right? Yeah, it is for clout, and like you said, it's like I try to I'll make some reels and I'll whatever, but I always try to cover the tooling And if you're smart, or if you're in this kind of industry or what, or this area of the industry, you know what tool it is, right? It doesn't take much investigative work, but
Yeah,
what it does is it tries to keep it out of the DIYers or anything else, hands, and because man, here's the thing, it's like, and that's the other thing, it's like, if you realize how easy some of these vehicles are to make keys and everything else for it, well, just like I know you've mentioned it multiple times, even on this podcast, like, Autel and the key game, man. It's like, what did that, that completely changed everything. Or you just mentioned just a little bit ago on Mercedes, dude. Um,
bro. It like so now that you let the cat out the bag, I'll just keep rolling with it. But
let's
we
go.
we we got. I was one of the first adopters. Me and a group of guys, we bought the tool and we were the ones that were sending in logs and telling it, hey, this works, this doesn't work. This is bad,
Like
this
back when it
isn't
was the
good.
Oro or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I still
yeah,
have it. It has lifetime updates.
yeah,
Um, and I regret every second of it, man, because dude, we single handedly like screwed up the key business, dude, man. I remember when I got into that sweet spot where I was still able to do like a high security key for like $150, man. You could do a remote key for 250 or refurb or something like that, right? It was good money. And now it's like, dude, I got locks, but dude, I sometimes want to call somebody else to do it, man, because I know dudes that are doing keys, and it doesn't matter what keys, they'll show up to your business and do them for $40,
jeez,
dude. I'm no like dude, I haven't done a key in over a year. I got two expensive machines sitting there collecting dust because I don't do keys. I just don't. I it's a respect too, but it's also a money thing, right? Like, why would I drive 40 minutes in Chicago traffic to somebody's house to make a key for 40, $50? All keys
yeah,
lost for 150, $180. I mean, if there's guys that want to chase that all day long because it's easy, fine, you do it. I don't participate in that, man.
no,
I really don't. And, to each their own. I really don't care. I never really liked doing keys anyway. But my money's always kind of been on the grand scheme of things, right?
yep,
Diag would turn into a programming, which now thankfully turns into a module sale. And if that
yeah, exactly.
produces a key sale, then that produces a key sale. And if not, then it's my focus has entirely changed in this industry, and so that's why I'm more of like, I'm focused on the business, the repair side of the business, and training. Um, but it's we need to take a hard look at ourselves in this industry because say what you want about flat rate. The flat rate part isn't the bad part. It's what flat rate has done to us technicians because it's literally a dog eat dog world. And here's the funny part, right? Like, I grew up, I cut my teeth in that dog eat dog world, dude. You guys had a lot of people, social media and stuff. I didn't have jack shit. I taught
Yep.
myself. Like, I went through the ringer by myself, and I always said that I would never be that way because, dude, nobody would help me, dude. Not nobody. I never really asked for easy answers ever. Like, I am stubborn as shit. If you see me call somebody, it's because I can't. I've already
You exhaust all
exhausted
resources. Yep.
most of my resources, right? Except for, like, I have a handful of guys that I'll call, like, hey man, I don't feel like spending time on it. What do you think, or what have you gone through?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
guys
That,
like
that's
Joy,
that's different
Pedro.
though, man. And
Yeah,
yeah,
but
we
like
all have to have those
typically
guys or whatever. But
Yeah, but typically speaking, I don't I cut my teeth, man. I like it's the old proverbs, man. Like, you teach a man how to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. And I think that's where social media kind of went wrong because if we're going down to the bare bones, man, I know a lot of guys who started their own mobile companies who fucking shouldn't have. Well, if you have to rely on Facebook to get your business going, dude, I think you made a mistake.
right,
Hmm.
Because I see a lot of these guys and a lot of these posts and a lot of these um questions, and I'm just like, man, dude. But then, yep, they're on YouTube thinking they're rock stars, and I'm over here in the background, and I'm just like, man, this is kind of like why I feel bad because I don't like talking about myself. I really don't. But if there's anything I can say, I don't want to say I was the first one, but I was one of the first ones who just help and help and
I know you did,
um
man.
say what you want, man, but you can ask a lot of people, man, and I was always there for people, but it gets off-putting when you see them gloating about the information that you just share with them on social media or whatever, and you don't even get like a thank you, and then you see some of these posts, and then has anybody ever seen the repetitive questions? Jesus Christ, man. It's just like, dude, I told you this
Yeah.
10 weeks ago, man. Why are you calling
Uh-huh.
me again for this? Either take some notes or, take some memory pills or something, man. Because, dude, I'm not Identifix.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. No,
I'm not
100%.
on your
And
payroll to be answering the same question over and over again, man. Like, dude, like
right.
help me help you. How about that? So that's how I feel about the state of like the mobile programming game, right? I love how people have been able to go from a situation to potentially turning themselves into a legit business, but I think a lot of them took it the wrong way, and I think a lot of people actually kind of glorified it to a point, right? So like
Oh
I
yeah.
feel um everybody just kind of idolizes mobile guys in a sense, like in the automotive industry. Like we have our sections, we have like our grunt workers, and we have like our hiring guys, and then we got our mobile guys. And it's kind of like in that point where mobile guys are like, they're known as the saviors, and you guys are going to hate me for saying this, but I feel like mobile guys, and I've said it before, are the crutch of the industry, man. Like I know it's a hole
For a
to
lot of
fill,
shops, yeah.
and then there's money,
Mhm.
but dude, some of these shops shouldn't be touching cars, and we're helping them. Again,
Hmm.
at least
100%.
we're there. I don't have as much of a hard stance as I had before, but the reality is these cars shouldn't be working. These people shouldn't be working on cars. 100%, and I don't care what anybody says.
Well,
Right?
and I'm going to
Oh,
piggyback off that, Tommy, because I think you're absolutely, and I 100% agree with you, man. And I tell you what, so when I first started going mobile or whatever, I was taking individuals, and I was taking, I was taking whatever I could get, right? Um, I was lucky that my business took off fairly quickly, that I didn't have to do much advertisement or anything else. And then, shortly after, where I was doing individuals and everything, I shut that down. I had a couple situations and everything, and so then I was like, oh, I'm just focusing on shops. And then I got to a point that I got so busy that I was like, I'm looking at it, I was like, man, I'm the one that's legit keeping this shop in business.
hmm.
This shop is looking like a hero, right? Because I come, and I'm not trying to sit here and like toot your stuff or whatever, but it's been to four shops. It goes to this shop and it's a hole in the wall. Their sink is the hose in the back. Their toilet is the other corner and stuff of the yard or whatever. Dog shit everywhere. It's horrible, man. They're literally pulling motors and transmissions. They have a two bay shop that's just filled with cars or whatever. They're out in the yard pulling it on dirt, and it's like, what
I
the hell am
piss.
I doing, man?
You have no
I'm
idea
keeping
the
I'm keeping this shop in business. That this shop should have been closed down. It shouldn't even be a shop, man. And that's that. Now I'm busy enough to where I don't take those kind of customers. And but that's not. There's somebody that's going to fill that void, obviously. But yeah, no, I hear you, Tommy. 100%, man.
So here's the thing, man. I always tell people respectfully, right? Like I will tell you that don't ask me a question you don't want an answer to, because I will tell you the truth. Like I don't care. So I had a shop owner once, right? He was able to rent in Chicago a beautiful shop, and I always have to count in my head because it's pretty big size shop for being in the city. It's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10, 11 lifts.
Damn.
He has 11 lifts in that shop. Oh, 12. He has two. He has an alignment rack drive on, and he has two other drive ons. So it's 12
Okay.
total and three drive ons. Tell me why the majority of the time they spend working on the floor. So then one day he's like, I'm tired, and I'm also tired of paying you to come here. And I'm like, good, I'm tired of coming here. And he's like, oh man, I don't tell me how can I attract a good guy? My shop's nice and blah blah blah. I said, dude, you're really gonna pay somebody, a top tier and A level technician that can diagnose and do all this stuff, but yeah, you're gonna have them working on the floor because your
Yep.
3 project junks are on the lifts. And he just gave me this look. He's like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "Let me repeat that. You really think a top tier technician that's gonna be worth 40, $50 an hour is gonna come here and work on the floor while your 3 junks are on these lifts and they've been here since you moved in?"
I've got like 4 different shops I'm thinking of right now with that exact
And you
same.
got your guys doing brakes and suspension work on the floor.
Yep.
And
The
you really think
owners-
you really think you're gonna get a guy that you think is gonna be able to save you and do all these diags, and you're gonna have him working in the middle of the shop on the floor because you have your 3
because they don't have
project
that
cars.
diag guy, Tommy. You know, that's why.
Yeah, I was like, whatever, dude. He didn't like my answer, but I don't care. It's just the truth, man. It is what it is. So
Yeah,
Sumi,
the owner's Dodge Charger that's been sitting on the hoist for
Dude,
5 years now hasn't moved.
this guy has one of those old like turbocharged. I forgot the name of them. Those S10 pickups, man. Nice truck.
The Cyclone or
Yeah,
whatever.
one of those fucking turds.
Yeah, cyclone.
And like, I did the math. I'm like, dude, this thing is costing you like you could have bought a restored one.
Yep.
He's like, what are you talking about? I said, dude, how much does a lift supposed to generate, man?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, what's your hourly rate? $100. How many hours are there in a day? 8, 9. $100 an hour is $900. You're open 6 days a week. It's been there for 3 years now.
Yep.
Yep.
I always say to my guys, I'm like, hey, if these guys can do it and stay in business, we have no excuse. We can do it.
Yeah.
But I'll be honest with you, man. Those guys don't stay in business, dude. At least the ones that I'm seeing here, like the majority, man. Like, you know, unfortunately, I knew a shop like that, and the owner passed away in his sleep as of recently, and they're more likely going to close down because there's just nobody wants to work here. The shop's a mess. Like, there's cars they don't even know. Like, they couldn't even contact people. They're waiting for people to call the shop because the guy really didn't keep any records. They couldn't.
No.
They couldn't get into his. They're trying to get into his phone. So basically, they're just. I don't know. Like, I don't know what's going on. But the guy wrote everything down on, like, you know, it's just there's no organization. You know, so it's like it's sad. But those are just kind of the type of shops that, you know. Here's the biggest problem, man. The biggest problem, and one of the things that I've been teaching myself as of late is we are technicians who made a job for ourselves.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, if you really put the pen to paper, what did we actually gain if we're not trying to grow?
Yep.
Freedom.
We bought a job.
What freedom?
Uh-huh.
Like, for real, what freedom do we have? We have you can take tomorrow off. I said I can because I can say I'm not working tomorrow. But can I physically do it? No, because you know why? My quarterlies are due tomorrow. My van note is due. I gotta pay for a subscription next week.
Yeah. Nobody's steering the ship if you're
I gotta
you're
pay
not
an
on.
accountant. I gotta pay my accountant next week. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. I go. So no, I don't have freedom. But if I bought myself a job or I made myself a job, so why shouldn't I just go work for somebody? Like, really think about that, right?
No, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Like,
Yeah.
if
Just
we're
like
not
working
gonna-
at a shop to not work 40 hours a week to work 80 hours a week. It's like, what am I
Yeah.
doing, man?
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean?
The only
People
the
don't
biggest
understand
difference
that.
is the biggest difference is the direction, right? Whether this motherfucking ship sinks or sails, it's on you, and that's kind of like the biggest thing you can get. Like, the direction is gonna be yours. If you wanna,
Yep.
if Cody, you wanna go in a G string to these shops, and damn it, go ahead and do it, right? So it's just like
I was
there's a
actually
certain.
thinking about that.
I knew it too. But when you're in a situation working at a shop, that's pretty much the reason why a lot of our technicians ended up leaving, right? Because there's always that issue, right? Like, you're not appreciated, you're overworked, or you don't want to work flat rate anymore, or you're in a position where you just ended up with a really not with a I don't want to say a bad shop owner, but I want to say, like, you and the shop owner on a different wavelengths, right? So what is it that motivates you to go on your own, right? And it's usually that, like, you just tired of working for the same shop owners,
Yep.
because there's that generational gap, right? And that's actually the beginning of the downfall of our industry, is this generational gap, where the majority of shop owners right now that are kind of successful, they're just old as shit, and they're just cashing the cow until they either retire or croak, respectfully. So there's not really a lot of young blood in this industry with new ideas and new ways of treating people, and realizing that, my dad worked in the time frame where it was just like you were grateful to have a job. Now it's just like, fuck you, I'll roll my shit down the street before I put up with your shit.
And they do. They
The
legit
majority
do.
of this generation, including me to a point, would much rather work for cheaper but work happier.
Right.
And that's one of the best lessons that I learned from dealing with my first millennial. Like, I don't consider myself a millennial, even though I am. I'm kind of an in-betweener, I'd say. But my first true millennial employee gave me a lot of lessons, man. Because everybody said they don't work hard. Dude, this is one of the hardest working kids I've met. Super smart, strong,
Nice.
very intelligent, very hardworking. But the motivation had to be there, and that's the key going forward. And that generation just doesn't have it. They can't comprehend why the motivation you need to go to work is because you need to survive, right? But you know easy times creates a different environment for people, and we just kind of don't grow up the same way. Like, I'm not as tough as my dad, and my children, if I ever have them, aren't going to be as tough as me. It's just the progression of life.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So I sit here and I wonder about, like, where this industry is kind of going, and the more I look at it, the more I think it's going to go straight to the toilet. And I kind of hope so, because it's usually when things get better, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, I don't know, a lot of the stories that you see, success stories, come from somebody who clawed their way out of a hole, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know about you, Cody. Did you end up, like, were you in a bad situation that you quit and went on your own? Were you forced to go on your own, or I really don't know your story, man.
Um. So my situation was so I was at one shop for a majority of my career, about 14 years, uh, and I don't know, man. I it wasn't um, management plays obviously a huge part in anything. And then, so I ended up leaving there and went to another shop for a couple months, and I ended up going back because that didn't end up being what I thought it was going to be. And then I ended up going across town to another shop, and that was that was the beginning of 2020, so obviously before COVID and stuff. And then, it's one of those that I'm driving 45 minutes the other direction to this other shop, where now I have no customers and everything else. The shop I was at for years and years and years was 5 minutes away from my house, so my clientele, and man, I just stayed busy. I had my customers, and like I said, I was busy. Now that I'm across town, if I didn't have a guarantee, um, when I went to that shop, which that was part of my deal, if I didn't have that guarantee, I legit wouldn't have made anything. And then you see these people that that are staying at home for COVID or whatever, that aren't essential and stuff, and the paychecks they're collecting. I'm like, whoa, you guys are bringing home way more than what I'm bringing home, and I have to work. But there was no cars to service at the time either, because the only cars on the road were legit doctors, and so it was just a weird time, man. It was one of those that it was like, then I got to a point, I realized that I went to a couple other shops, and I'm not one to job hop at all. But then I was like, maybe I'm the issue. And honestly, I think that I was to a point that I wouldn't have been happy at any shop in town. And I can confidently say that now that I do go into a majority of the shops. Like, I can tell within 5 minutes if I'd work in the shop or not. Like, I look at these shops like, yep, nope, would not. There are a couple in town that I do respect. I think they do quality work. I think their environment is healthy and everything else. But man, it's to see, going mobile really opened my eyes to how jaded this industry really is, man. And that sucks to say, because I don't know anything else. Like, I can't. I told my wife, I was telling her this the other day. I was like, man, if I could go back in time, I'd go to business school or whatever. I wish I knew what I knew now, because business, you can make a business pretty much out of anything. But I guarantee you this, if I did go to business school, I wouldn't be owning a shop. I would not be in the automotive space at all. I just, I think there's other ways to go about it and everything, as far as if you have that kind of education. Me, for myself, I got too much invested, and this is kind of where it's at. And I love it. I do love it, right? But man, going mobile just really it made me jaded, man. I mean, it's just it's sad what and you guys have talked about it multiple times on the podcast, but you walk in and thousands of dollars of parts and have been thrown at this car, and it's a legit broken wire. It's a loose pin, and
Yep.
for a fact that customer's getting charged all that money. And
Yep.
but here's the thing, doctors do it too. So doctors do it too. So they don't, it's crazy, man. I mean, it's crazy. HVAC guys do it too. Um, so man, yeah, it's just made me look at life, or not life, but just like the trades a whole different, looking at it completely different.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's
Well,
kind of my story. I wasn't really forced out, Tommy, but I just kind of went on my own, and that's that. So
So that's kind of what I'm saying, right? Like one of the biggest lessons that I've seen from majority of successful people is that they all hit rock bottom, they all had a failed business. And that's the thing, right? Like the automotive industry has kind of kept afloat, right? Except for like, after September 11, the recession years because of the cash for clunkers, it made them challenging, but it wasn't bad, right? Like it wasn't like certain industries who have had like the steel workers industry or oil drilling, and we've never
yeah,
had a collapse in our industry, right? And I feel
yeah.
like that's what we need, man, because the thing is like it's the root of the issue at hand is just perception, right? I'll give you an example. In Guatemala, what do you think it takes somebody to get rid of a car?
to
Like, what
get
do
rid
they
of it,
do
like
with
to
it?
sell it.
Like no, like okay, for example, right? Like okay, let's view a car. How many times when you guys working in a shop did you try to sell a transmission for a decent car, and they just said no, we're just gonna trade it in?
Oh, sure.
Hundreds,
All the time.
all
Yeah,
the time,
yeah,
right? But if you really think about it, right, it is even if you dump $10,000 into this car, right, it is still cheaper to fix it than to buy a new car.
hmm
But the problem is we have access to easy credit. That's the
oh
problem.
yeah,
Hmm.
If you go back home, dude, like you have to, dude. They no, like it's everything is to the T, dude. There's nobody that's gonna help you if you don't have like a great credit and a good paying job and no debt. You're not getting a loan for a car, right? That's just not gonna happen because out there, car prices at the time right now it's a little fluctuating in the used car market because they're flooded with cars from here, like auction cars. But if you go buy a $10,000 car, or let's say a $20,000-$30,000 car, you're talking about double digit, like six figure vehicle. A car is six figures in Guatemala because at the end of the day, you're still making that money, right? It's not in dollars, but you're still making the local currency, right? So they don't sell a car for shit. Like these cars get passed down unless it's like they can't find parts or just it got into a bad accident. A car needs an engine overhaul. It goes to a mechanic shop. The mechanic overhauls the engine and he goes back in it. It doesn't matter what it costs because it's going to be cheaper than buying a new car. And we don't have that mentality. We have a disposable mentality, which
yep.
was fine when your car note was 3, 4, maybe $500 on the high end. What's a car, dude? Have you seen some of these? Like,
Oh, dude,
I don't have
no,
TikTok,
man,
but have you seen some of these
it's
car
over a
notes,
thousand
dude?
bucks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Over a
Escalade
thousand,
or
dude.
something.
I seen somebody with an Escalade V's car note. It was almost 2 G's. That's more
Yeah,
than my
yeah, yeah.
mortgage. I'm like, the car's more than than what we paid for our house, bro. And I'm just like, damn, like, dude, there's just no way. And think about the time frame. I don't know if I said this in one of these other podcasts, but dude, when the Escalade first came out, like when that was just basically a slapped up Tahoe, I think it was like 39K, 40. Let's say
Yeah.
40. when they first came
fully
out.
loaded.
Yeah, fully loaded. And they're 100, like the Escalade V is like 160, I think, or 140,
Yep.
150.
Jeez.
Dude, that's $100,000 in what? When did it come out? 20, so what, 25 years? $100K for a car. That's insane. I don't care what
Crazy.
type
Yep.
of car it is, man. That's nuts.
Yep. No, man, Tommy, that's some really valid points and everything, man.
So that, and again, see, oh, here it is. The original MSRP, $46,000. That's what
46.
a '99 Cadillac Escalade cost. $46K.
Now it's the same as a house, and then
Yeah.
they want to put a used BCM in it or something like that.
Well, and here's the thing, right? That vehicle that cost $140,000 in 10 years, guess what? It's still a vehicle that has $140,000 worth of parts.
Yep.
And for some reason now it's our problem. No, like it's your problem because you should have never bought this turd. Like I can't I don't know what to tell people, and I think that's and again the perception. My buddy right now, he's currently shifting careers and he's trying to get into one of the trades, and he keeps asking me about ours, and I'm just like, dude, like it just sucks. Matter of fact, all right, fine. If you feel like you're getting jaded, the jaded opinion, you're not wrong. So go talk to him. Like so he basically went to talk to like operating engineers, plumbing, blah blah blah.
Yep.
And he texts me. He's like, "Let me get this right. You guys don't get paid for every hour you're working." So, told you, welcome to the trade, dude. And I don't have I don't have an issue with flat rate in that sense, right? Because when I was a tech, I thrived on flat rate because I like
Yeah.
the
I
monetary
did too. I
value.
made money.
Yeah, I don't care what anybody says. I didn't really have a lot of comebacks. I hustled. I did a lot of work.
Yep.
Some people don't like it. Fine. I don't give a shit. I don't get into the whole flat rate versus hourly pay
Yeah.
or whatever, because you can look at it from two ways, right? I think it's a culture thing. Get the right guys. Point blank, right? Because
Yeah.
think about it, Cody. Like, let's just say, for example, and I don't want to beat the horse on flat rate, but I just want to
you're
make
good,
this
man.
point because
Yeah. Let's do it.
think about this, guys. Sean, you work flat rate, right?
Yes, sir.
How
Crushed
did you
it.
like it?
I loved it because I hustled.
All right,
Yep.
I'm a hustler, dude. All of us are hustlers because we're self-employed, right? Because we by nature we want that monetary. It's if I really wanted a high-paying job, I would have went to college, dude. I didn't. I like being able to be compensated for my time. I want to be able to negotiate my salary. Like, I don't want nobody saying, "Oh, you can make this and you can make that." No, I'm making my salary, not you. It doesn't matter who I'm working for. So think about it this way, right? If you're a guy like you, right, and you bust your ass, it's detrimental for you to get paid hourly.
Yep.
You're losing money
Yeah.
Yep.
because
For sure.
you can
100%.
produce so much more.
Yep.
So again, but if, let's say, for example, you're not that much of a hustler and you're more of a thoughtful type of person, then that flat rate shop may not be for you. Maybe you should go for another place shop. But like, again, if we flip the script, that shop that plays hourly basically just put the golden handcuffs on you and said, "Hey, well, I'm just gonna guarantee you 80 grand instead of you could potentially make 160 grand."
Yep.
So which one is it? So if you get a guy like us in that atmosphere, I still bust my ass. But it's just not for me because I know for a fact that I'm driven by a goal, and my goal is to make money, right? Like, at the end of the day, we're still in this to make money. So that's kind of what I feel in terms of that mentality, right? I think it has nothing to do with pay scale. It's the culture that you make, and it's the and it's the type of people you have. And sometimes, man, and my best lesson for you guys, and I think I talked to you about Sean, it's really hard. It's really hard, but it's necessary to grow, to get rid of something when it's not working. Point blank. I don't care what anybody says, dude. Like one of the things that I've learned right now is skill or will. If you don't have the skill, I can work with it. If you don't have the will, then our
Yep.
journeys aren't meant to go in the same direction.
Yep.
And it's there's nothing wrong with that. One of my guys, man, I won't name his name, but I made them. I don't want to say it was a mistake, but it was a learning experience of hiring a friend. And it was just so toxic by the end of it that when I use, and I've said it on this podcast, I use COVID as a mistake, as an excuse to close down because I knew he wasn't going to come back, and that's exactly what happened. But guess what? He would do self-destructive things so I can fire him because he didn't have the heart to quit because we were friends, and I didn't have the heart to fire him because we were friends. But we just didn't work well together. We just didn't
Yeah.
like. And he wanted to make more money. I couldn't pay him more money, but he didn't want to quit because he didn't want to leave me hanging because he's a loyal person. But guess
Yep.
what? If we would have just had an open line of communication, we both would have been better because I didn't want him there. He didn't want to be there. And now he's working at a diesel a diesel yard making six figures.
Nice.
You know, so that's the thing, right? When you guys are ready to grow and hire people, you got to know that sometimes, man, that it's not a bad thing. You're not doing anything wrong by firing somebody, man. It's just how do you know you're not preventing him from something else? And earlier when you were talking about how you see other people's grow, one of the best things I can tell you, man, are a couple quotes is comparison is a thief of joy.
Yeah. I know, and it does. It
So
robs me, man,
don't
because I don't appreciate what I
don't
have.
you never one old man told me years ago this and it always resonated with me. He's like, never try running with somebody because you'll never know if you know how to fly.
Yep.
Like, you know, it's just you're gonna grow at your pace when you're ready to grow. Right? I can sit here and say, dude, I should have got a coaching company. I should have done this or XYZ when instead of closing, I should have had respectfully the balls to tell these guys to kick rocks, the guys who were my energy suckers, right? But I had to go through all of this, and you're gonna go through your own growths and pains. You just have to be true to what you want, right?
Yep.
And I did what I thought. I felt I can say that I wasted 4 years, but I don't think I did. I think I did pretty well for myself. Um, in terms of the repair shop, yeah, I'm struggling with the regret because there's a lot of opportunities that are being presented to me, and I feel like I wasted my time. I feel like I wasted 4 years in that aspect, right? But at the end of the day, I wasn't ready then. I'm ready now. I'm ready to take that next step because, um, again, this is my journey and it's nobody else's, man. And you're in
Yeah.
control of your journey. And when it's time for you to grow, um, my
Yep.
best advice is that you're not hiring a girlfriend, dude. It doesn't have to be anything but an employee, dude. No, for real. Like it's not. It doesn't have to be special. It doesn't have to be anything like that, dude. It's just. And I'm not saying to sound heartless. I'm just
Yeah.
saying
No,
that
and I get what you're saying.
you'd have to be extremely lucky to be able to find that one special employee. I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
impossible. I'm just saying that if you want to grow, those employees are the best ones because I don't want to say they don't mean anything to you, but you can't grow if you're comfortable. When you talk like that, you're trying to find something easy because it's
Yep.
easier to hire a friend because you feel
Yep.
like it's easier to talk to, and it's the opposite, dude. It's hard to talk to somebody who's a friend. It's hard to be because you know their issue and you know their issues.
Yeah.
If you have a
Yeah.
guy, for example, you know, God forbid, right? You have an employee that he has a sick kid, dude. You're not gonna you ain't firing him, bro. Right?
Right.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
what if he's detrimental to your business? Can you make that decision? You have to make that decision. This is your family versus the world, dude. You see what I'm saying? And that's why I'm saying like my best advice to you, dude. If you really want to hire somebody, dude, go to the shops, bro. Look at the guys who are following you around and find one of those guys. Take one of those guys.
Yep.
That's my opinion. Like find somebody who's eager, willing to learn, and mold them. Turn them into
Yep.
a second you. Share your vision. One of the best books that I read was because I've been trying to read books. The who, not the how.
Okay.
Who, not the how.
The who, not the how. I'll send you the. We got the link. Or actually, I think anybody who's listening to the podcast should know.
Is it a business book?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Hold on. I got it in my Amazon thing. 1 second. I'm trying to see
Well,
who read it. All right, so it's the who, not the how. By man, I'm blind. Hang on.
well, while you're
Dan
looking
Sul-
that up, oh,
Who, not how, by Dan Sullivan.
okay.
Yeah. To give you the
Oh, it's from Sullivan. Okay.
yes, Dan Sullivan. To give you a little quick synopsis, the book says that people who are extremely successful don't ask how, they just ask who. Like, who can share their vision? How can they get somebody? Like, the perfect example to me is you, Sean. You figured out quickly that you don't belong answering the phones and doing scheduling and coordinating stuff like that because it's not your strength. You're a tech.
Yep.
Your job is to
Yep.
fix what's broken, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was my mistake. I should have done that from the beginning. If I would have done that instead of hiring technicians, dude, I think I'd have a multi-million dollar shop right now, honestly. Because
That's
at
what I
the end,
told everybody at the event. I was like, my admin person be the last person I fire.
yeah, because at the end of the day, you can still get the work done.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And that's the part that we forget. I'm gonna share something really, really personal and close because it meant a lot to me. It was a very high moment of growth for me, right? At the end of the day, dude, all three of us know what it's like. Well, I mean, I don't know about you guys financially, or maybe not Cody, but me, there's been times where I'm figuring out which ones of my bills that I'm not gonna pay because I have to pay the guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking hard, right? Um, but when you get to that point, that's when you know who you really are. When you're that close to the floor is when you realize how much fight you have in you, right?
Right.
Like they say, you never try to corner an animal because at that point you got nothing to lose, right? So we we went at the shop. We've been trying marketing and stuff like that, and some of the stuff has been working. And we've come across some days where we're just like super busy, and it's me, it's Mikey, and my guy Josh, and my tech, my lead technician per se, right? Dude, we were slammed. I think we had like 7, 8 cars when we just averaged 2 or 3, right? So that's huge for us. And I get to the shop a little late because I had to stop by and do a programming for a customer. I told him I'd do it before I get in. I get to the shop and I'm there and I start barking orders, da 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 da, and then Josh is over here like da da da, and then we're like moving around and I see him, he's stressed out, and I'm like, dude, this isn't working. There's too many chiefs here.
Yeah.
So what do I do? And I'm like, I have to let go. I have to let go. So I grabbed Josh and I put him to the side. I'm like, hey, powwow, give me 5 minutes. I gotta call this now. 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Put him outside. Hey, okay, this is what we're gonna do today. Tell me what needs to get done. I'm gonna get the workout. I'm gonna coordinate to get the workout. You tell me what needs to get done in order. I'll distribute the work. You worry about the front. I don't need to know anything else. I don't need nothing. This is Josh's shop today. You're in charge.
Right.
You're in the
Yep.
front. You're in charge. You just tell me what needs to get done in what order, and I'll make sure it gets done. Do we have one of our most successful days that way?
Nice.
You know why? Because I found my who. I found somebody who is better at answering the phones, who is more organized, who can find parts, and I found somebody who can sell work better than me.
Yep.
Right? So again, it's all about what you want in growth, and you may not want to grow, and that's totally fine, right? But the what do you want is the question that only you can answer, and that goes
Mhm.
for anybody who's trying to go mobile or trying to get into a different job or a different mindset. It's what do you want, and there's nothing wrong with it. Do what you want, just do it.
Well, doing your own thing, you start your own business, like you say, you're working your ass off. You're working more than you did when you were a tech or working for
Oh yeah.
somebody. And I mean, honestly, the only way out of that, unless that's what you want to do, and I think that's fine. I mean, I like, putting in a good day's work and feeling really accomplished. Look at this, all this that I got done, made this much money, cool. I think you can only keep up that pace for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people, like personal friends, who are that like super powered entrepreneur in different fields too, and like they are the straw that stirs the drink. They make it happen every day, and they've got an awesome business that's been around for a decade. But you hit a certain age and like you run out of steam. You can't keep that pace going forever.
No.
And if it all centers around you, like, and you are that straw, like it really does crumble quickly when you can't keep up the pace. And you've done it for so many years, and then now all of a sudden you have health issues, and now all of a sudden you turn to some sort of substance for assistance. And boy, it is really, really depressing to
Yeah.
watch it switch, because I've seen it several times. So, and that affected me. I'm like, I don't want to be that, because that was me, that is me. Like, I'm driving this thing, man. Like, I'm making it happen, and I have employees, but like I'm cranking out the work too. And I've really had to shift the mindset of like, how do I change that to at least having an exit plan, or like some way that it doesn't have to be me every single day. And there's a whole lot more that goes into that, but you have to find that time to, the cliche statement is work on the business, not in the business. And like, boy, shifting that is so difficult, but I'm working really hard to make some time for that. Because I think that's the only way, out of it eventually, unless you just decide to quit one day and sell it. But I think most of the people who do that, they're not in a position to do that. Like, that's not going to be something that works for them. So I don't know. For me, it's like I have to figure this out. I have to figure out a way that the thing can run, without me, or without, maximum input from me. And
Yep.
you got to be a business owner. You got to have a whole
And
different skill set.
that's the key. That's the key,
Yeah.
right? We if all you wanted was to make a job for yourself, then you picked the wrong job, man. Because as much as it sucks to work for somebody, it sucks more doing this, man.
Mm-hmm.
I it's there's no argument for me, and that's in that aspect, man. But if you're in business, you chose this. You chose to suck, man. So like you might as well just make the best out of it, so it doesn't suck as bad one day. It's kind of how I approach it now, and part of that is like I said, growth. But you have to know how to be a leader, and you have to know how to cut your losses when need be, and just keep plugging away, man. And these are the things that people don't realize about the industry, and it's to me it's one of the beautiful parts. The only beautiful part about this industry is um stuff like this, right? Like the networking, and I was beyond blessed to be put in the position to be one of the first ones to start the non, you know, IATN chats for automotive stuff, because IATN was literally like playing Call of Duty back in 2009. Jesus, man. Those IATN chats were brutal. And no, man, I think that I'm still a firm believer that mindset still needed to change, man. But I just, I really, really believe in my heart, man, that this industry just isn't a good place for the modern youth, man. There it really isn't, man. It's not welcoming. The best. I hate saying the best place, but the majority of the towns and cities, the best place to work for somebody would probably be a dealer. I'm not saying that's the universal truth, but the reality is that's probably where you're going to get paid a little bit more. Um, it's a little bit more formal for the most part. Not saying all of them, but I would say I think we can agree that dealership would probably be the best way to start. But like unless you have like one of those really good independent, shops that are kind of like working at a dealer, but they're structured the same. So it's kind of where my point would be, right?
Right.
Now I've asked this before, and it's always been a point of contention. Would you guys let your children be in this industry? Honestly.
Well, only if they wanted to, but I would sure steer them a different way. Be like,
So
look at all this money you could make doing this and not beating up your body.
Right?
So
Or beating
my
up your
daughter,
bunny for pennies.
Yeah.
yeah. So my daughter's gone on some mobile calls with me and stuff, and she's she hates school, right? She hates school, and she is so damn good at school, right? That I mean, she's straight A student. She hates school. She despises the fact that like to go to a 4-year college and everything else. Like she's so smart. Me, school was rough for me. I mean, I made the most of it, but school was a challenge. Um, and she'd go on rides and stuff with me, and she's like, "I'm just gonna work for you." And I tell her, I was like, "Look, she has so much potential, and it's like, do something. You're not falling. You're not. I'm not going to tell you no, but you need to go out and spread your wings and do your own thing. Like take business classes. Do something, right? Do something that you're passionate about. Um, because I would hate to like pass this down. But on that same note, like yeah, she'll probably work part time for me during the summer and stuff to program some modules or whatever. That's not a problem. But I'm not going to hold her hand and just pass this down to her because I don't honestly I want her to find her own path.
I'm gonna counter you with something though. I don't consider all right. The whole objective of this question wasn't so much for that answer. The answer was for actually no, it was actually for that answer, right? Sean gave me the answer I expected, but I wasn't aware of this situation, right? But then let me ask you this: would you be okay with her going to work at Jiffy Lube, not or like one of those entry level spots or another shop, one of these dump shops that you've seen? I'm pretty
Oof,
sure you
yeah,
wouldn't.
that's
I mean,
tough,
obviously, if
man.
she's gonna do it, she's gonna do what she wants. At the end of the day, right? Kids are gonna do whatever they want, but you would probably highly, highly not.
Yeah, no, I
You
would I
know,
would be like, no, not that shop.
yeah, right. Like you, we would. So I think we're on the same page. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you something, man. Like so, obviously my old man, he had the tire shop or whatever, and not to get back on the soapbox, but I was supposed to go to school for engineering, and he pretty much when I told him that I was going to the trade, he pretty much was just like he same conversation with you, and I don't regret shit. The reason why I'm so everybody thinks that I hate the industry. No, it's opposite. I love this industry. I love what it's done for me because um I'd probably be working in some fucking office in a cubicle somewhere instead of traveling to Australia teaching.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
right.
I've made the most of this industry, right? What I'm saying is don't let that deter her because there's beautiful parts about this industry. You have an
There
advantage
is.
because you guys have the business, right? And that's kind of what I told my old man. And because with my old man, it was by the numbers. So I wanted to be an engineer, and it was either automotive, mechanical, or honestly, I really wanted to go into aerospace.
Oh wow.
Um, I happened to find and was able to interview an aerospace engineer. He worked for Lockheed Martin, and we were emailing back and forth, and we finally got on a phone conversation, and he basically told me um, that that he loves it, but dude, like you had to be like top notch to become an aerospace, not to become one, to get a job in the field. And I'm just like, well, how difficult is it? He's like, you're only gonna get hired by Lockheed Martin, Boeing, NASA, and there was like another one or two maybe companies at the time who were dabbling in like aeronautics, jet propulsion and shit like that. There wasn't a lot. He's like, that's why. So you're really just it's kind of like going to the NBA is what he told me. Like you just the odds are
Good
really
luck.
really against. He's like, I'm not trying to deter you. If that's your dream, you go for it. But the odds are really 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 against you, especially because I told him, dude, I fucking hate math. He's like, dude, this is 99% fucking math. All right, scratch that. Mechanical engineer. They had the lowest paid entry level of all the engineering trades from what I researched at the time. Um, and I'm like, fuck, man, my dad's making over $250,000 selling fucking used tires. What the hell do I look like spending $200,000 to become an engineer to go make $60K a year? Like, it just didn't make sense to me. Automotive was more or less the same thing that at the aerospace was. There's just more people who want to get into it, but there's not. How many car companies are there really? How many engineers do they need? Right? Like I could have found a job and clawed my way to the top, but by the time I paid for my schooling, it was gonna be X amount of dollars for what I'm gonna make. And at the time, before like during like right before September 11, the majority of good technicians were making six figures with not a lot of training. So that's and I liked it. I love cars, so that's why I decided to go that route. So the advantage she has is that she has a true professional to guide her, right? So she's gonna if she likes it, then who's to say she's not gonna take your business to the next level? I know
Well,
I
that's just it. She has to, but she does need to put some
oh
skin in the game. Not just gonna
125%, homie.
get it
You
handed
got to
to her.
throw her to the wolves, man, because at the end
Right.
of the day, it's like one of the biggest things that I tell my friends because I get a lot of flack because I'm very opinionated when it comes to kids without having kids. And I tell people it's because I've been around enough of them and I've seen enough of y'all motherfuckers' mistakes. And the biggest mistake that this generation made with their kids is basically giving them two things: giving them everything that you didn't get, that you didn't have, forgetting to show them what you did have, and being their friends. Those are the biggest mistakes I see my friends make with their children because
Yep.
you're not doing them any
I agree
favors.
with all
Because at the
those.
end of the day, you're supposed to be preparing these kids for when you're not here.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's it, man. It's not holding their hand. It's
No,
preparing them for when you're not here. Yep.
yeah, no, because
Yep.
my dad didn't hold back for shit, dude. My dad,
Yep.
like fucking, nah, he didn't fucking, dude. He wouldn't even give me an advance one time, bro. My axle broke, dude. And I was just like, hey man, can you borrow me $50 or can you take it off my pay? He's like, no, I just paid you on Saturday. What'd you do with your money? I said, I went out on a date. He's like, well, tell her to give you some of that money back. I'm like, what the hell? What you mean, man? He's like, yeah, man. He's like, you're supposed to be saving money, you dumbass. Bro, he didn't give me shit. I was on foot patrol for
Yep.
that week until I got paid, bro. Did I learn my
Yep.
lesson? No. but
Yeah, yeah,
but he tried.
that'll do
Second
it.
time, man.
He fucking tried hard. But I always managed to pull myself out of everything, man. And I think that's why it made me who I am because no matter all the things that were thrown my way, my health issues, my weight, I never stopped, man.
Yeah,
There's no
you've overcome
excuses.
them, man. So yeah, yeah, you could use all those as excuses, or you could just be like, screw that, and just make you stronger or whatever, man. So, and that's that's what it's all about and shit at the end of the day, man.
Have
To
you
piggyback as far as like what you guys were saying, as far as growing and everything else, and it's like, that was another thing. Like one of the other reasons I left the shop was like, I have back issues, and I don't really feel it now that I'm not physically underneath the hood of a car all day long. But man, it was getting to a point. It's like, and that's just what's crazy about flat rate. It's like, man, I'd kill it on hours. And every year was a competition with myself to make more money, to flag more hours and everything else. And it's like, man, you start getting older and shit, and you get in your 40s and stuff. It's like your hours inevitably go down. And now you're the
Mm-hmm.
drivability guy. Now your hours even go more down because now you're getting the problem cars, at least for my situation from the other locations here in town. They're like, oh, send it to Cody. He's gonna figure it out. They've already thrown everything at it. And it's like, so now I'm not just doing ball joint shocks and struts and banging out, 10 hours by lunch. now I got these problem child cars and stuff, and it's like, and the shops wants to give me an hour to diagnose it, and it's like, man, that's where it's disheartening. That's where that's wrong. You know what I mean? I want to go back and hang shocks and struts and ball joints and stuff, but man, my back physically couldn't take it. So every year, like my paycheck started going down and down and down, even though I was working harder and harder and harder. I was working on more cars. But you look at my numbers, it's not what it was when I was 21 years old or 25 years old and stuff, banging out the work.
That what you just said is the reason why the industry needs to take a dump.
Yep.
Right? Because this is why. The reason why is you, Cody, I don't know this about you, but I want to assume you've never been a service writer.
No.
Okay.
Oh no, actually no. I was a service manager for about a year at a shop.
Writer. So did you talk to customers? Did you try to sell jobs?
Yeah.
How was that? How did that go?
It was cool. That was before I was ever a tech. So that was me. That was actually my first job in the shop. So actually, that's how. Okay, so that's how I got into the shop. Was the shop was literally like a half a mile away from my house. I'd walk to work or whatever because I blew the motor in my car before I graduated high school. So then I moved to this house or this apartment.
You got sucked into the industry.
Down the road. I walked in. It was a white kid with a fro. I wouldn't have hired myself, man. And this guy took a chance on me. His name's Mike Buckner.
What the hell happened?
Yeah, with the pro. I had a pro, man. I wouldn't have hired myself.
I gotta see those pictures, man. Matter of fact,
I wouldn't have hired myself, right?
Yeah, matter of fact,
yeah,
you need to send that picture. You need to send that picture, man. It's gonna be on our title page for this podcast.
So what's funny is, man, so I go to this, I go to this interview and stuff, and he hires me, and I literally get the job sweeping and mopping the floor. My shift was like 2 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night. It was a service station. I was pumping gas and changing oil and stuff. So
that's dope, man.
And then 6 months later, they pulled me. He made me day shift, and then like a couple months after that, then I became like assistant manager and stuff. So now I was 100% in the office, and I was no longer touching the cars, which that wasn't really the direction I wanted to go, man. I liked working on the cars and stuff. And I did it for a while until I got the job at Lexus as an apprentice or whatever. And then I worked 6 or 7 days a week for about a year and a half, weekends at the service station and then at Lexus and stuff. But that's kind of like how I fell into it, man. I was accepted to go to UTI, and I had ended up having a falling out with a couple of the guys that I was gonna live with up there and stuff, and so I always felt like I was behind, right? And and I guess that's what's crazy. It's like I always felt like I was behind, and I was always trying to catch up and everything else. I was I didn't have all the education as some of the other guys and stuff, but man, I'll tell you this: by the time those guys got out of UTI and everything, they could not get jobs because they had no shop experience. And here I was in the shop for 2 years or whatever, and I was getting jobs left and right at all these shops and stuff, man, and that nobody would legit hire them. Now granted, they were trying to go to the dealers and stuff, but they wanted, these shops wanted shop experience over UTI experience. So, I felt like, that was for a bit that was, I ran with that and stayed at the dealer for a while and then moved on to the independent or whatever. But, yeah, so, I mean, I was a service rider for a bit. It was short lived. But why do you ask that, Tommy?
Because the issue at hand, where you just said it right now, is that I'm only going to get paid an hour of diag, right?
Oh yeah.
It's just it's damn near impossible now. It was hard back then to sell diag. It's almost impossible now because there's just so much information. There's so much things out there, and the customers already like they're pissed their car broke. They're pissed that they're broke. They're pissed that the economy sucks. They'll go and vent on Facebook. Oh man, it's gonna cost me $500. Oh no, man, they're just ripping you off. What about that? You just went to AutoZone and got the code scan. Because let's be realistic here, right? If you get a code scan from AutoZone, yes, it's not always that, right? That's we can agree to that, right? It's not always going to be a code scan. You have to perform tests. But let's just be frank here. How many times did you guys actually just look at a DPF code on a Ford fucking Taurus and just chuck a fucking DPFE sensor at it, right? Like,
Yeah.
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 But
right?
that's in 2008. Like I think things are a little bit different now. Like I
Okay,
just can't see the current
Correct.
cars going to an auto zone and getting
but
parts thrown at them and being even half
again,
successful.
you're no 100%, right? But what's the one? Who are the customers? They still look at it as a car, though, man. That's
Sure.
the point that I'm trying to make. It's still a car because, respectfully, it still is a rolling hunk of junk.
Yeah.
It's the same principle as it was when Henry Ford was rolling them down in Detroit, man. Like it's still a
Yeah.
car, a internal combustion with four wheels that gets you from point A to point B, right? The problem is like people don't really realize the cost of the vehicles because they're not buying them outright.
Sure.
And that's the whole point of
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
was trying to make is that that's the American issue. And the only way to fix that is if there's a total collapse of this raggedy ass industry, then all these bum shops go away and then the real shops are going to step up and start fixing these cars. We're going to be able to set the precedent and we're going to be the ones that are going to train the industry or the customer base like, listen, dude, this is what it is, man. These are these cars. This is why you need to do this. This is why you need to do maintenance. And I feel in my heart that that's going to be the best thing for the industry. It's just going to be a lot of pain for a lot of years before it happens because there's still too many people, especially like here where I'm at, who is willing to chuck some parts at it. And because, again, psychologically speaking, you, and Cody know that it's cheaper to diagnose a car properly, right?
Mhm.
Instead of chucking parts at it, especially chucking cheap parts at it. But the problem is the customer doesn't see that.
Yeah.
They don't see us working on the car. If I show them, hey, we tried this, but it didn't work. Oh, but I saw that you installed these. There's parts. There's something I can touch, right? So that's the training that needs to be done. That it's not all
Yeah.
about touching because
Educating the customer.
yeah, because even though
Yep.
HVAC guys do it right, here think about it this way though. HVAC units are built to be modular.
Yep.
There's only a handful of components that can go bad with it. So even if they guess wrong, it's not the end of the world. You guess wrong, hey, I think you need an engine. No, it's only going to be, $5,000 plus labor and materials. Oh, it's $10,000. It's fine. No, you know what I'm saying? Like it's not going to happen. But
Yeah.
what I'm trying to get at is the entire perspective of us has to change, but it's not going to change because we're too busy fighting amongst ourselves. For Jesus Christ, man, Cody had a fucking event that he probably paid for out of his pocket, and he still got shit. Like we can't do
Yeah.
anything right. We
I
can't
did.
have anything nice, man. Jesus, man.
Yeah.
How many times
And
I got
that's
shit on? Like because I didn't want to help somebody. Oh, like I said, nobody's ever called me a gatekeeper in my face, but I've gotten stuff for not wanting to help people, and I'm just like, bro, I don't even know you. Like,
yeah.
like, what do I owe you? Why am I supposed to stop feeding my family to help you? Why?
But what people that also don't understand though, Tommy, that I don't think they don't see the amount of, how many people are actually calling you a day asking for help and how much help that it's a full-time, I guarantee it's a full-time job for you because it's a full-time job for me. And I'm just like, but then to be like, slapped in your face as far as like you're a gatekeeper, and it's like, man, like I need to start charging everybody for giving any kind of information.
You don't want to know
Yep.
when the fuck I woke up for that particular reason? When I started timing all the phone calls. And I got home and I tallied up all the phone calls, and I was spending 3.5 hours on average a day on the fucking phone. I was just like, nope,
Ooh.
nope.
Yep. Times that by 5.
And that's not even including, and that's not even including the answering the
your business,
godly
your
amount of
lines.
messages.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
fuck,
yeah.
dude.
Yep.
And yeah, it's better for me because I've learned to put myself first. So if I'm sitting on my computer and I have nothing to do, hey man, I will 100% gladly help somebody, man. There's only a few people who I'll stop what I'm doing to help. Everybody else, when I have time, I'll help you, and if it's too late, then whatever. I mean, it's what it is. I'm glad you figured it out.
Well, and I'll use that as an example and stuff, Tommy. Like, I mean, 6 years now, 6 years ago, I created AutoMD on Facebook or whatever as far as a group that, to help others and everything else for diagnostics, for, chat, whatever you want to use it for and stuff, but other vetted professionals that's not just open to, any DIY or anything else. That everybody's vetted, everybody's a legit technician in the field. And I enjoyed helping everybody, man, but I had the time to do so at that time. Or maybe my priorities were just different and stuff though too. Now anymore, for the amount of phone calls and everything else I get, man, it's hard to participate in my own chat or my own group that, but I'm thankful that that pretty much, it's filled with a great group of guys and gals and stuff that it pretty much runs itself, and there's always somebody in there answering questions or whatever. So I don't have to physically be in there, monitoring every single comment and helping every single person out. But that being said, it's just, I enjoyed doing that at that time. I just physically I can't anymore. So again, being called a gatekeeper, it's like I've tried to put as much information and networks in place for people and stuff. So do what you will with that.
Yep. Welcome.
Yeah.
Man,
All right.
we should end it with that.
Yeah.
Ended on a high note. Yeah.
Holy shit, we went for 2 hours. I didn't think I'd be able to look at Cody for 2 hours. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh.
Don't tell your wife. I'm really just kidding. I really am. Don't hit me.
I actually got to see it gave me like a weird screen here when my camera went out. Let me see if I can.
Man, if this didn't record, I'm gonna be pissed. This was a good. This is a good one, man.
Yeah. Well, let me see. I'm gonna hit.
Dude, if you end this
Oh
with,
shit.
oh fuck. I hope this ends up in our
Oh
group
no.
reel.
So what does that mean if Sean jumped out? Does that
It might. I think it might delete the recording.
oh
Oh,
no.
I'm back.
oh,
Oh God.
All right. I think we're
you
good.
good? All right.
All right, that is going to do it for today's episode. Thank you to Cody for spending the time with us this evening. Great to talk to him. And again, well done on the event that he put on in Tucson. Can't wait for next year. But, with this talk as well, again, like we mentioned, the idea wasn't to exclude anybody, and it turned into more than we thought it was going to be. But I hope that it inspires other people out there to maybe do something similar, seek out something like this, create some sort of community, some sort of get together, something that moves the industry forward. But we've got lots of different options and ways to do it, and this is just one of them. So anyways, we talked about it a lot before we decided to share this out there in the world, but here it is. So anyways, with that all the way, let's get out there, start fixing the world one car at a time.